Welcome everyone to your race preview here in Bahrain for the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. What a season it has been so far, and we are now into the dying stages of the season. Just 2 races to go, and this weekend already setting up to be an absolute thriller. Your calendar so far, well, it looks a little bit like this. 15 races down, 2 to go. 1 this weekend for the first ever Sakhir Grand Prix, a slightly different layout to last weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix, and of course next weekend our season finale in Abu Dhabi on the 13th of December. It's been a crazy year. We've been to some crazy venues. I really can't believe there's only 2 races to go in 2020. Last season we visited Bahrain. It was Lewis Hamilton who took victory with Bottas P2, Charles Leclerc P3. Leclerc led the majority of that Grand Prix, securing his first ever pole position. Could we see a very similar story this weekend with another driver making his debut at a top team in Formula 1? Vettel won twice in 18 and 17, Rosberg in 2016. Last time out in 2020, we were here at Bahrain. Lewis Hamilton winning the Grand Prix with a Red Bull 2-3 for the first time since Japan 2017. We had 2 Red Bull drivers on the podium, Hamilton and pole, Bottas P2, Max Verstappen P3. And after that Grand Prix in Bahrain, this is how your Drivers' and Constructors' Championships are shaping up. Of course, Lewis Hamilton already your Formula 1 2020 World Champion, but a difficult weekend from Valtteri Bottas brings Verstappen right back in that hunt for second in the championship. The battle for best of the rest currently is led by Daniel Ricciardo, just 2 points in front of Sergio Perez, who is 2 points in front of Charles Leclerc. Norris 1 in front of Sainz equal with Albon. That fight has been incredible this year, and it looks set to do so for the final 2 races of the season. Pierre Gasly rounds out your top 10. In the bottom half, things are spicing up nicely with plenty of drivers set to join the grid this weekend. Our order will now go down to 23 drivers. However, for the time being, Lance Stroll is P11. Esteban Ocon scoring points last time out is P12. Vettel is in front of Kvyat, Hülkenberg, the 2 Alfa Romeos of Giovinazzi and Raikkonen. Grosjean is 18th, Magnussen 19th, and Latifi and George Russell yet to score. I've got a funny feeling that could change this weekend. In your constructors' standings, Mercedes are champions 7 times in a row, and after last weekend's Grand Prix, Red Bull guaranteed second. That fight for third, though, that we have seen all season long, just like in the drivers, so difficult to call. McLaren took a lead over Racing Point with a great result last time out. Renault are 5th, Ferrari 6th, AlphaTauri almost on a century of points, Alfa Romeo on 8, Haas on 3, and Williams the only team yet to score. This weekend is your championship finale in Formula 2. 5 drivers can be crowned champion. Schumacher leads by 14 points over fellow Ferrari junior Callum Ilott. Nikita Mazepin has signed for Haas next year. He's just a little bit further back in P3. Robert Schwartzman, another Ferrari junior, is P4. And Yuki Tsunoda, the final of the 5 that can be 2020 World Champion. If you've not seen Formula 2 all season long, I very much recommend watching it this weekend. It's going to be ridiculously awesome. Cannot wait for this one. Lundgaard, Delatraz, Guan Yu Zhou, Drugovich and Giotto round out your top 10. Tyre choice this weekend is the exact same as last weekend. C2, C3 and C4 tyres should mean we've got a nice mix of strategies in the Grand Prix. All of the teams, all of the drivers going into a complete unknown this time around. With this new circuit layout, with these ridiculously small lap times, just under a minute is the predicted times, we should see strategies be all over the place. I cannot wait. And your weather this time out, no rain expected, 26 or 25 degrees roughly across the entire weekend, 9, 7 and 17% chance of rain on each day respectively over the weekend. Right then, I know you've all been waiting for this one. I feel I've hyped it up just enough, but just in case I haven't, here is your hot lap for the Formula 1 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. Welcome everyone back to Bahrain for your hot lap for the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. Thank you very much, Will, for sending over this lap. This unique layout of the Bahrain International Circuit isn't on the Formula 1 2020 game, so thank you very much, dude, for this one. But Sector 1 is very, very similar to last weekend's. Turns 1, 2, up the hill through turns 3, absolutely identical. The majority of this lap is the exact same. However, Sector 2, as we're just coming up to now, completely different. Almost doesn't exist for the 87 laps here at Sakhir. Through turn 4, and now we're into the new sections. A lovely sweeping, undulating turn 5 and turn 6, almost flat out. A quick kink through 7 and 8. Apologies for the frame rate. Downhill now into turn 9, and we're straight back into sector 3 of the initial Bahrain International Circuit. Down the hill, maybe a potential place for DRS in the Grand Prix. Through the penultimate final 2 corners, through the final little kink now of turn 11, and that's your very quick lap of this Sakhir Grand Prix. Heading on over then to the newsroom. Goodness me, have we got a lot to talk about this weekend. So let's jump straight into it. Starting off with the huge news that George Russell will move to Mercedes for this weekend's Grand Prix, replacing Lewis Hamilton, who tested positive for COVID-19 earlier on this weekend. Fingers crossed Lewis gets better soon and maybe is back for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're yet to see on that one, but what an opportunity for Russell, going from the worst car on the grid to the best. He's got a lot to learn. There's going to be a lot of pressure on teammate Valtteri Bottas, but the fight at the front this weekend is going to be so fantastic to watch. Another driver missing out this weekend is Romain Grosjean after that horrific incident in Bahrain last time out. Thankfully, he is all happy, he is well, he's out of hospital. Replacing him this weekend is Pietro Fittipaldi, grandson of two-time Formula 1 world champion Emerson Fittipaldi, and just like Russell, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to prove himself for a potential drive in the future. Filling Russell's space at Williams this weekend is Jack Aitken. Just like Fittipaldi, will make his Formula 1 debut for Williams, and again, a great opportunity for all of these guys to really show their talent, what they're made of. Of course, Aitken won't be driving in Formula 2 this weekend. He's been replaced by Ralph Boschung at Campos. Next season, Haas have decided they will be taking Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, an all-rookie lineup. A risk for sure, but certainly one they are willing to take. It's a huge gamble for the team that are struggling for finances at the moment, and whilst that may be one reason behind bringing both of them in, both of them this year in the fight for that Formula 2 title and are proving they deserve a chance, at least an opportunity, in Formula 1 next year. And finally, a bit of news on my front. The channel is going through some changes, so keep an eye over social media on YouTube over the next couple of weeks. You may have already noticed in that bottom left-hand corner RR instead of our normal F1/E, and that is because over the next couple of weeks we'll be doing a full channel rebrand to Racing Reviews. Most of it will be the exact same. It's pretty much the same colour scheme, the same thumbnails, so for you guys not much will be different, but if you're just wondering who's this guy I'm randomly subscribed to, don't worry, it's just a channel rebrand, so that'll be going out over the different social media platforms over the next week or so. Right, shall we move over to one of my favourite parts of the weekend? It's prediction time for the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix, and I tell you what, if you can predict it bang on this weekend, fair play. And as always, in a moment I'll give you your grid to try and do exactly that. But before we do, here are my predictions, and you've got to do it. You've got to do it. We all want to see it. In qualifying, I've gone for Valtteri Bottas on pole position, George Russell P2 on the front row, and Max Verstappen P3. But in the Grand Prix, I know I'm getting carried away, but we just want to see it, guys. We want to see it. George Russell to be victorious in 2020. Valtteri Bottas P2. Sergio Perez. Let's not forget about Checo. And last weekend, let's redeem him. P3 for Checo. 4th for Verstappen. 5th for Alex Albon. And as always, I'd love to know your thoughts in that comment section down below. In qualifying, who's on pole, who's going to be on the front row, and who's going to be the biggest shock? George Russell pole position maybe? Maybe Fittipaldi Q3. And in that Grand Prix, who is going to be the winner? Who other two drivers are going to be on the podium? First retirement, driver of the day, and best of the rest. Before we go, in a moment's time, we'll take a look at your schedule, so screenshots at the ready. But first, Fantasy League time. There's only 2 weekends left, and somehow I am still in the fight to be champion. So good luck to all of you, but I've taken a risk. Grosjean is out of the Grosjean army, of course, not racing this weekend. I've replaced him with George Russell. However, that will pretty much turn into Jack Aitken for this weekend's Grand Prix. Hamilton should turn into George Russell. Put it this way, it's going to be a mess for fantasy teams, but an opportunity for some of you guys a little bit further down to move further up and join us in this fight for P1 at the end of the season. And finally, your weekend schedule, screenshot time at the ready, looks like this. On Friday, Formula 1 Practice 1, Formula 2 qualifying, and Formula 1 Practice 2. Quali for F2 is going to be huge this weekend. Would very much recommend watching that. And also on Saturday, that feature race at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Practice 3 at 2, qualifying at 5 in the evening, UK time. And on Sunday, your Formula 2 sprint race, your final race of the season at 1 o'clock, and the Sakhir Grand Prix at 5 in the evening. And that is it here in Bahrain for the second weekend in a row. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Again, channel changes over the next couple of weekends, so just keep your eyes peeled for racing reviews, Formula 1/E. It's been a great ride, but changes on the horizon. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and predictions, especially in the comment section down below. Enjoy the weekend, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one.